Hey guys, SIMO here. Welcome to another Behind the Beat video. In this video, we're doing the BABYMONSTER Love in My Heart type beat I made. This beat is called Beautiful. It's this one. This is actually part of the poll I made, but this one didn't get the highest votes. This one got the second highest votes. And I already made a Behind the Beat video for the most voted, the La Seraphim type beat. And I figured out that I have a little spare time now, so I decided to make a Behind the Beat for the second most voted beat. And aside from that, this beat is my favorite beat among the recent beats I released. I think I'm gonna try something different for this beat. If it turns out well, I'll probably do this more. So what we're gonna do, unlike in my previous beats, which we talked about each track one by one, this time I'm gonna try to go through the song from start to finish, and then we can tackle the tracks one by one along the way. So yeah, let's start with the intro. To those who watch my previous videos, you already know this, but to those who doesn't, I started the kicks with a muffled sound. It sounds like it's from your neighbor, and then as the beat progresses, it opens up. So it sounds like the kick is from your neighbor, and then you're walking closer, and then the sound becomes less and less muffled as you come closer. That's the type of sound we're aiming for in this one. And also, I haven't mentioned before that this is a technique you can use to gradually increase the energy. It starts like this, so muffled, and then it starts becoming, and it starts sounding like how it should sound. It didn't go all the way to the right. I intentionally did that because that's the kick sound I want from this kick. I don't want it to sound too bright. I also did that with the piano. It also started muffled and then it opened up as the beat progresses. I have to mention that unlike some of my other beats, this one only has the kick and the piano doing that muffled effect. The bass is constant, the bass is steady. There's no demuffling. This is what it sounds like all throughout. Also the snares and the toms, they aren't affected by the muffled effect. It's just so that their energy is full all throughout. I don't want them to start muffled because I felt like I need their full energy for this part. Yeah, and like I mentioned in my other Behind the Beat video, fills help a lot when it comes to making the listeners identify that there's a section change. So after that, the listeners can tell that we're already in a different section. In this case, it's a verse. We also have an impact here at the beginning of the verse to help the listeners identify that it's the start of a new section. Yes, so in the verse we have the bass, the piano. We also have kicks all throughout the beat. The kicks are just steady. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the verse. This is the chorus. It's just steady for the entire beat, nothing fancy. It's as if it's playing the role of the heartbeat of the whole song. And that's just what the beat calls for. It doesn't call for a fancy kick pattern. Just need this, yeah. It's common in house-inspired beats. Keeps the people dancing. And aside from that, it also complements the pumping of the instruments. Because if you notice, I have a pumping effect here too, just like in my other beats. If you listen to the main instruments, you can hear the pump. Let's just turn the pump off. These are the main instruments without the pump. Sounds good, but that's not what I need for this beat. This is the beat with the pumping effects on. It's more dancey and it complements the steady kick pattern. Also for the mixing side, it's very helpful because as the instruments pump, what's going on with the pump is that the volume is dipping as the pump goes. That's why it's sounding like something's pumping. It's just the volume changing rhythmically to the tempo. And with the volume going down rhythmically. At the same time, it's also giving space for the kick. So when it comes to mixing, they aren't gonna clash. It's like the main instruments are giving way, giving space, giving room for the kick. Whenever the volume of the main instruments go down, the kick plays. And then when the kick is over, the volume of the main instruments go up. So it's like they're giving way for each other. So it's like boom, boom, boom. So yeah, they're helping each other out. And that's actually where the pumping effect originated from. It's a sidechain technique, but we will not go deeper into that since this is a breakdown video, not a sidechain video. Going back to the verse, the first half is just the kicks, the bass, and the piano. And then in the second half, we have to change things up. So there are a couple of tracks that were introduced in this part. We have the snares, but take a listen to this. You already know what happened. The muffling effect is there. So yeah, why did I choose to do that? Because in the second half of the verse, I already have a lot of changes here. I have this art, which also started muffled. I also have this plucky bass. This is to accompany the deep bass that I had in the first half. So if you notice, my bass is also pumping, just like my main instruments. The pluck bass was added, so there will be movement in the basses for this beat. So it's not just straight. It's not just like that. Although even though it's straight, you can hear there's a pump. But we have to add more energy to that. We have to add more movement, so we added this one. It's safe to layer these two basses because they are different when it comes to tone, when it comes to timbre. Because this one is focused more on the lows. This one is more snappy. I also did some processing to make sure that their low frequencies, their bass frequencies don't clash with each other. Otherwise, it's going to make the song so muddy. It's going to take so much space that it doesn't really need. And we also have the crash. You can't see it, it's so minimal in volume, but it sounds like this. So just like the impact, just like this one, the crash is here to help the listeners identify that this is already the second half of the verse. And we also have hi-hats, adding energy and rhythm to the beat, because the drums started like this. The drums started just steady. Now we have to add some more movement. Yeah, with those many elements introduced in the second half of the verse, I decided to start the arpeggio synth, this one, and the snares. I decided that they should start muffled so that it will seem like they will only get introduced later. So we have more changes later on in the verse. This is the second half of the verse. You can barely hear the snares and the arpeggio. Now you can start hearing them. It's as if they were only introduced in the last part, when in reality, the snares and the arpeggio were already introduced way before that. And aside from that, we also have the shakers. This is to help the hi-hats add more energy. And then we also have more hi-hats. A steady hi-hat. This is there to help the build-up towards the pre-chorus. And of course, we have the long riser. This is to support the build-up. And if you notice, the pre-chorus starts here, but the riser ended here. Now, why did I do that? I actually also have a second riser here, which continues all the way to the pre-chorus, to the end of the verse. But the main reason why I did this, why this was left blank, is so that it will sound like the long riser It started at the beginning of the second half. It's actually building up for the drum fill. It's not building up for the pre-chorus. That's the job for the second riser. I'll just play the drums and the long riser. See? The riser stopped there. In context, this is the last part of the verse. It's a subtle change, it's a subtle addition, but it helps a lot. We have a build up here, the snare. As I said before, I think it's in the behind the beat video for the NMix type beat. Yeah, like it said there, a way to make choruses seem bigger than what they really are is to give illusions. So I gave 2 illusions in this beat. I started with the mellow part in the pre-chorus so that when it comes to the chorus will seem bigger compared to when it only comes from the verse, which is quite loud already. Let's compare it. This is if we don't have the mellow pre-chorus. This is what it will sound like. Yeah, it sounds big still, but it would be bigger this way. Aside from starting the pre-chorus in a mellow tone, I also added a break. So it's not a total break. We left the piano playing. But this break, this semi-break, made the chorus sound bigger because before the chorus there's just silence. Anything you play after silence will sound big. So don't take it literally, but you get the point. The difference will be so big because it started from nothing. Well, almost nothing in this case. So yeah, we have the chorus. So yeah, in my observation, beats like this, beats that give a dance party vibe and feel very emotional, has so much feels at the same time. Beats like this usually combine electronic and organic instruments a lot. So, you know, it's giving the dance party vibe still with those electronic elements and at the same time giving human emotion with the use of pianos, guitars, or orchestral instruments, in this case the strings. So yeah, it's most likely the reason why songs like Lovesick Girls feel so dance party-ish, but at the same time feels sad, feels intimate, feels sentimental compared to other types of dance party beats. So yeah, let's quickly break down these elements one by one. Going back to the kick, we have 2 kick sounds. I have this one, and I have this one. So it's sort of the same idea with the bass I shared earlier. There's a really low kick layered with a kick that's snappy. And then we also have the snares. They're also layered, so basically it sounds like 1 snare, but it's actually 2. You can also notice that there's a reverb tail. You probably can't hear it on the phone, but there's a reverb tail there. It's not a snappy snare because it fits emotional beats like this. And we also have hi-hats again. So this one's steady, a steady hi-hat pattern layered with this more groovy hi-hat pattern. So together, it's steady and rhythmic at the same time. So as always, it's there to add movement. And then we have the shaker. Compared to the hi-hat, this is, even though it gives energy, it's rhythmic, it sounds continuous. At least that's what I hear. Because the hi-hat sounds broken. It's not bad. I mean, it sounds chopped up. This one too. But the shaker, it sounds like it's connected. It's like legato. It's like every hit of the shaker is connected to the next one. So at least the drums and percussions of the chorus won't sound choppy. Won't sound like it's broken into several pieces. it will all sound connected. Then the crash again, and then fills, of course. It's to help the listeners, again, identify that we're going to section change. And the bass again, we have a different bass synth. It's also pumping like the other basses, but this one is more in your face, even though it's a long bass like this one. So yeah, again, layering. It's just like the snare, the kicks, and every layered element we tackled. So we're combining the sound of this deep bass with the bright sound, the plucky sound of this bass. Then we have the saw chord. Sounds so EDM, right? Sounds so electronic. So yeah, it's just the chord being played and pumping at the same time. And we also have an organic alternative to that. It's this one. The strings. You know, the violins, viola, cello, double bass if you can hear it, but I think I cut it off. Yeah, anyway, those two combined. So yeah, sounds great. It's a combination of electronic and organic elements. This is a guitar synth. It's supposed to replicate a guitar, but it sucks at it. I mean, it sounds so fake. It doesn't sound like a real guitar. But it was intentionally placed in this beat because I feel like that is the sound that this beat is calling for. If I put a real rock guitar here, it would sound too rocky and less emotional, less dance party-ish vibes. And we also have the melodies. So yeah, that's the first half, and in the second half, there will be a higher layer. The higher layer sounds like this. It's the same, but it's just too high, it's too thin. Let's listen to the end of the first half towards the second half of the chorus. Suddenly sounds more brilliant, sounds more brighter, even though it sounds like there's still one melody. Well, there actually is just one. It's just that they are layered now. So yeah, layering is important, guys. And lastly, we have the arpeggio. So if you haven't watched my previous video, it's basically just a broken chord. Just gonna do this again for the newcomers here. So yeah, this is a C chord. It's made up of C, E, and G. Now, if we play the three notes together, it's a C major chord. And what an arpeggio is, it's a broken chord, meaning the three notes are not played together. We play the notes separately. So yeah, that's a quick explanation of an arpeggio. So this is what the chords sound like. That might sound right, but that's not what I need for this beat. If we add the arpeggiator, if we make the chords arpeggios, it would sound like this. Now, even better, right? What else do we have here? Some variations in the second verse. Well, now we have claps in the second verse. Layered claps again. The first clap, the second clap. It acts as the snare. Both of the claps together. Okay, and then moving on, pre-chorus, chorus. Yeah, let's go to the bridge. The bridge is quite quiet. Has a more sad chord pattern. Then bass comes in. It's just mellow, no crazy build up here. Just that. We just have this riser here. This is actually different from the usual risers I use. This one has a note, so it's not just pure sound effects, pure noise. There's a tone to it. And then in the second half of the last chorus, I have to make a change. I have to variate it to make it different from the previous choruses. Yeah. So there's deception there. We also use deception in a good way in making beats and making music. What do I mean by deception? This is what it sounds like without the deception. This is the part going towards the second half of the chorus. That's without the deception. Now this is with the deception. See, the listeners will expect for that boom on the first hit, but instead I added a break. So yeah, the people will be like, oh wait, where did the beat go? And then it went back. So it's not there to disappoint the listeners, it's there for a wow effect. So yeah, that's probably everything we can talk about in this beat. Yeah, and as always, just stay tuned to my posts here on YouTube because currently that's where I ask you guys which behind the beat video should I make next. I hope you had fun, I hope you learned a lot. Leave your thoughts in the comments, or if you have something to say, give this a like and subscribe to my channel for more behind the beat videos, for more of my beat uploads, and stay tuned to my pulse. So yeah, see you guys around.